Hello students, so welcome to the class. Today we are going to start next unit, that is unit 2, structural organization in animals and plants, and in this we are going to study the topic morphology of flowering plants. So let we see here what are the topics involved in this chapter. So these are the morphology of the flower, structure of a typical flower and types of inflorescence, racemose and cymose. In a structure of a typical flower, we are going to study all these technical terms, the types of flowers, bracteate, ebracteate, symmetry in the flower. On that basis, two conditions, actinomorphic, zygomorphic, then the number of floral whorls and three conditions, trimerous, tetramerous, pentamerous, then again the types of flowers, complete and incomplete, non-essential whorls, calyx and corolla, and the cohesion of the units of the calyx, that is two conditions are there here, gamosepalous, polysepalous, corolla, where again the two conditions, gamopetalous, and here the polypetalous conditions, perianth, estivation, and the different types of estivation. Essential whorls are two, that is androecium and gynoecium. Androecium is being the male reproductive part. Under this you will study the cohesion of the units of the androecium, that is stamens, and the different conditions, and further the adhesion, that is the attachment of the stamens with the floral parts, and number of lobes, that is number of lobes in the anther. On that basis the two conditions, monothecous and dithecous. Gynoecium, that is the female reproductive part. Here we are going to study the position of the ovary and the three condition. On that basis they are the epigynous, hypogynous, perigynous. Then the cohesion of the units of the gynoecium, that is carpel. On that basis the two conditions, apocarpus, syncarpus. Then the number of locules present in the ovary. On that basis the three conditions, unilocular, bilocular, multilocular. Then types of inflorescence, racemose and cymose. Only definition and differences, no subtypes are required. So this is the syllabus, and today we are going to study up to the essential whorls of the flower. So structure of a typical flower. As students, as you know that you have studied about the flower in the previous classes already. So flower is the reproductive part of the plant, and it is the characteristic features of comes under the characteristic feature of the angiosperms. So flower is considered as a modified shoot, where the shoot apical meristem changes to floral meristem and internodes do not elongate and the axis gets condensed. So it is a modified shoot where internode they do not elongate, axis gets condensed, and apex produces different kind of floral appendages. Appendages means floral parts, and these parts are sepals, petals, stamens and carpel. All these are arranged at the successive nodes in the flower, and this flower is meant for the sexual reproduction, and there is considerable variation in the size, shape, color of flowers, and the arrangement and the number of floral parts within the flower. So students, you have seen that many types of flowers in the garden, the color, the shape, size. So these that flowers, they vary in the size, shape and color, and also in the arrangement of the parts also. But all flowers have the same basic plan. So we are going to study the structure of a typical flower. So a typical flower has four sets of appendages or parts arranged successively on the swollen end of the stalk, called as the thalamus or the receptacle. So this is a stalk. With the help of a stalk, flower is attached on the branch of the flower, and this is the receptacle. It is the swollen end on which all the floral whorls they are attached. So these floral whorls or the floral parts, they are divided into two parts, non-essential parts and essential parts. Non-essential parts are known as accessory organs also, and they are two, that is sepals and petals. So sepals together they are known as the calyx, and petals together they are known as the corolla. They are known as the non-essential as they do not take part in the reproduction directly. Then the other two parts are there, that is the stamen and the carpel or the pistil is there. These are the essential parts because they take part in reproduction in a direct way. So they are involved in the process of reproduction directly. That is why they are the essential whorls. So let me see their technical terms. So technically all these whorls are named as calyx, which is the outermost whorl, and unit of calyx is known as the sepal. Sepals are usually green leaf-like structures which protect the inner floral parts, and the petals, these petals together they form corolla, and these petals are large, elaborate, brightly colored structure. They help in attracting insects for the pollination. Then that essential organs. So essential organs are the stamen and the carpel. As I said you can call the carpel as pistil also. So pistil or carpel, it is the female reproductive part, and stamen is being the male reproductive part in the flower. So stamens, they are known as the microsporophylls also. They make up the androecium. So many stamen together they make the androecium, and the carpels together they make the gynoecium. So many carpels together they form the gynoecium. Carpels are known as megasporophylls also. Now what are the parts of the androecium? So androecium consists of one or more stamens, and this is the male reproductive part. And what does a stamen consist of? A stamen consists of two parts. The proximal sterile part, which is known as the filament, and the distal part, which is being the that fertile part, which is known as the anther. So anther is the part where the male gametes are produced, that we call as the pollen grain. And a strip of tissue which lies between this pair of sporangia, that is the anther actually contains the structure known as sporangia, or we call them as microsporangia. So 4 microsporangia present in the anther, and in these microsporangia male gametes are produced, which we call them as the pollen grains. So pollen grains are the male gametes produced in the microsporangia, and these pollen grains are known as microspores. So understood? These are the new terms introduced to you. Then we will study here the gynoecium. So gynoecium is made up of one or more carpel or pistil, female reproductive part, and carpel is further divided into 3 parts. The proximal, that ovule containing part, that is the ovary. So this is ovary. Ovary has one or more chambers in it. So these chambers are known as the locules, and further it contains ovule in it. Then next part to the ovary, the distal that receptive part, this is known as the stigma. So this is stigma. It receives the pollen grain during pollination, and the middle part or the median part, which is known as the style. And the pattern of the ovule arrangement in the ovary, this is known as the placentation, that we will study in the detail in the coming parts of the chapter. And after fertilization, the ovule develops into seeds and ovary matures into fruit. So this is all about the typical that flower and its part and structure. Now we are going to study some important technical terms in the description of flower. So what are these important technical terms? We'll start from these technical terms. These are bracteate and ebracteate flowers. So what are these conditions? So flowers with bracts. What are bracts? Bracts are actually reduced leaf found at the base of the pedicel. So when we see in the flowers, you can see this is the pedicel or the stalk by which the flower is attached on the branch. So at the base of the pedicel, reduced leaf like structure is present, is known as the bract, and the flower with this bract is known as the bracteate flower. For example, China rose. You can see here, this is the pedicel, and at the base of the pedicel this reduced leaf like structure which is known as the bract, and the flower is known as the bracteate flower, or the condition is known as the bracteate. While ebracteate flowers are there in which no bracts are present. For example, Dhatura. Here you will see that this is the pedicel and there is no that bract at the base of the pedicel. So this is the ebracteate condition. So understood, children? Bracteate and ebracteate flowers. Now next we will study symmetry in the flower. As you have studied symmetry in animals also, so now we will see that symmetry in flowers. So symmetry may be actinomorphic, zygomorphic or asymmetric. Actinomorphic symmetry is the symmetry where a flower can be divided into two exactly half by a vertical section passing through the center in any plane. Means you can see when we are dividing this plant into this flower into two equal halves by a vertical section passing through the center in any plane. Okay, so when we divide it in any plane, then we are getting two equal halves. So when we divide this flower in this plane, then it is passing through the center of the flower and we are getting the two equal parts. Suppose we are dividing the flower in this direction, it is passing through the center of the flower and we are getting the two equal halves. So this type of symmetry is known as the actinomorphic symmetry. It is said to be as the radial symmetry also, or regular also. This is found in mustard, that is brassica, tomato, lycopersicon, dianthus, datura, chili. These all are the flowers which show the actinomorphic symmetry. Then zygomorphic. So in zygomorphic, when a flower can be divided into two similar halves by a vertical section in one plane only. Understood? In one plane only. So suppose if we will divide this flower in this plane, then we will not get the two equal halves. So here two similar halves we will get only when the flower is divided in one plane only. So it is said to be as the zygomorphic, or we can call it as a bilaterally symmetrical flower also. So this symmetry is found in Pisum, that is pea, Pahunia, Cassia, snapdragon. All these are the examples of the zygomorphic symmetry. Then the third condition, when the flower cannot be divided into two similar halves by any vertical plane passing through the center. So it is said to be the asymmetric or irregular. For example, Canna, Maranta, all these are the example of asymmetrical flower. So understood, children? The three symmetry in the flower, that is actinomorphic, zygomorphic and asymmetric. Now next technical term, we are going to study number of floral whorls. So depending upon the number of floral members means calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium, stamens, all that. So depending upon the number of floral members in each whorl, flowers are of following type. Means number of that floral whorl, like the calyx. Unit of calyx is sepals. So number of sepals in the calyx, number of petals in the corolla, number of stamens in the androecium, number of carpels in the gynoecium. So depending upon the number of floral members in each whorl, flowers are of following types. Three conditions we are going to study: trimerous, tetramerous and pentamerous. So trimerous means that when the floral members are in threes or in multiple of three. For example, allium, onion also, where that each of that floral member shows that three units, like three that tepals, then the stamens as well as the in the multiple of 3, means suppose it may be the 6 there, so in the multiple of 3. Then the next condition is tetramerous. So tetramerous means when the floral members are in 4s or in the multiple of 4, like 4 sepals, 4 the petals, then the 4 stamens, then that 4 carpels, in this way. So this is found in the Brassica. Then the next is there pentamerous condition. So pentamerous condition when the floral members are in the 5s or in multiple of 5, 5 sepals, 5 tepals, like that. So this is known as the pentamerous condition, 5 sepals, 5 petals, or maybe the 5 tepals also, any other flower which has the tepals. So this is pentamerous condition found in Solanum and found in China rose also, in hibiscus also. So this is pentamerous condition. Now we'll again see the classification of flower on the basis of that whorls which are present in them, means essential and non-essential whorls we have studied in the flower. So flower are said to be bisexual or a complete flower when they have both androecium and gynoecium, or we can call them it as a perfect flower also. So you will get one more term for this, perfect. So complete, perfect, or bisexual flower. So these flowers, they have androecium and gynoecium. Here you see stamens and pistil. Stamen means here androecium, pistil, gynoecium. So both the essential whorls are present, then this is a complete flower. While when we see that another condition, that some flowers they do not have both the whorls, either they have androecium or gynoecium. So in this condition they are known as the imperfect flower. So imperfect flower, further they are of two types. They are known as the unisexual flowers also, they are known as the incomplete flower also. So incomplete flower, imperfect flower, or unisexual flower, they are same. So these incomplete flower or imperfect flower are of two types, pistillate and staminate. Pistillate means the flowers, they bear only carpels, that is a female reproductive part, pistil. So they are known as the pistillate flower. And the flowers which have only stamens, they are known as the staminate flower or the male flowers. So this is the condition seen in the flower. You can see here, this is only the gynoecium is there, pistil is there, and here only the stamens are there. So male and female flowers are only present. So here on the basis of this, the different conditions are also studied in the plant. For example, when both the staminate and pistillate flowers, they are borne on the same plant, means when a plant has staminate and pistillate flowers both, then this condition is known as the monoecious condition. While when the staminate and pistillate flowers are present on the different plants, means male flower, that is staminate flower on one plant and pistillate flowers are on another plant, then this condition is known as the dioecious condition. And dioecious condition, like for example papaya, found in many other plants also. So this is dioecious condition. And next is there when the both this bisexual and unisexual that flowers are present on a plant, then this condition is known as the polygamous conditions. So these are some examples also, examples of the complete flower like roses, hibiscus, and the incomplete flower like the zucchini flowers. Here you see that only male the plant here containing stamens here, and the female that flower containing stigma. So these are the examples. Now non-essential whorls, the two non-essential whorls as I discussed with you already, that is calyx and corolla. So we are going to study the calyx and corolla and their cohesion. So calyx is the outermost whorl of the flower and its members are known as the sepals. Generally, sepals are green, leaf-like, protect the flower in the bud stage. Now, cohesion of sepals shows two conditions. These two conditions are there, gamo and poly. How it is there? Gamo condition means when the sepals are fused. So, when the sepals are fused at the base, then this condition is known as the gamosepalous condition, as it is found in the China rose. These sepals are fused, forming a tube-like structure. So, this is gamosepalous condition found in China rose also, dianthus also. Then when the sepals are free, you just see here the sepals are free, not fused at the base, then this condition is known as the polysepalous condition. You can see here these green sepals, they are free at the base, they are not fused with each other. So, this condition is known as the polysepalous condition, found in brassica, found in rose also. So, two conditions, gamosepalous and polysepalous. Now, next whorl is corolla. Corolla is the second whorl composed of petals. Petals are usually brightly colored to attract insects for the pollination. Now, cohesion of petals is also in the same way we will see here as we have seen the sepals. So, here also two conditions, gamopetalous corolla, when the petals are united. You can see here the petals are united in this flower. All these petals, they are united and forming that a bale shaped structure. So, this condition is known as the gamopetalous, found in the Tura, in that Ipomea, many flowers are there. And polypetalous condition is there when the petals are free. So, here you can see the petals are free from each other. So, this condition is known as the polypetalous condition, found in brassica. So, understood children? So, all these are the non-essential whorls and their cohesion. So, students, next term we are going to study perianth. What is the meaning of perianth? As you have studied, calyx and corolla are of different color and then different shape and size is found in them. So, when the two accessory whorls, calyx and corolla, are not clearly differentiated, we cannot differentiate between the calyx and corolla. In this condition, the structure is known as the perianth. Here sepals and petals together, they are not very clearly differentiated. In this case, the term is given tepal. An individual member of this perianth is known as the tepal. We will see here that flowers without a calyx and corolla differentiated. Here you will see either they will be of petal like, means the colored one. So, if the tepals are colored, then they are the petaloid tepals. Understood children? And when the tepals are of green color, means they are just like sepals, then this type of tepals are termed as the sepaloid tepals. You can see here, this is also the flower that is Gulmohar, showing you the petaloid tepals, which is usually observed by you. So, this is perianth. So, calyx, corolla and perianth. These three, that outer whorl in the flower, which are the part known as the non-essential parts also. So, students, you revise this from the book also and ask your doubts. In the next part, we are going to study the essential parts and their cohesion and their variation.